So I had a couple analogies in my head that I was sort of basing it off of. So one was email is based on another decentralized protocol called SMTP. And Paul Buchheit at Y Combinator had created Gmail, right? So Gmail, you could run your own email server on your own computer, but most people don't want to do that. They don't want to worry about the backups and the security aspects of it and everything. So most people use Gmail or Outlook or something like that. And it's a hosted email provider. It's in the cloud. And so, you can run it on your phone and on the desktop. If you lose your phone, all your email's not gone, all these kinds of things. So I was like, Bitcoin's another decentralized protocol, kind of like SMTP. Someone's going to make the Gmail for this. And then the other kind of analogy that I had was GitHub, because Git is actually another decentralized protocol where people do code storage, but you can sort of have a repository on a server on your client. It can be decentralized. And then GitHub, of course, just made it much easier to use Git for the average developer. So those were my two analogies. I was like, all right, someone's going to have to make this. This is a funny story about how sometimes your first idea is the wrong idea, but it helps you get to the right idea. So I was working at Airbnb. This was not a company, or I hadn't left my job or anything, right? And so this was basically just me tinkering on the side while I was trying to learn this. The first version of it that I built with a friend of mine who I'd gone to school with was really it was a mobile Bitcoin wallet. And we actually, it's probably still on GitHub. I think it's just called Bitcoin Android. We basically made it where the whole Bitcoin node would run on your phone. And the reason I did that was I thought, this is not a company. I can't start hosting people's Bitcoin and running this stuff in the cloud, and that would require a lot of money and security. And so I just built it on the device, on the phone, where everybody, you can run this on your phone if you want to store your own crypto, but I'm not really responsible for it, was kind of the idea. And it was all open source. So he and I worked on this on our nights and weekends, and we put it out there, and it was, in some ways, it got people interested. Wired, I think, wrote a small article about it. To me, that was a really big deal at the time. But what I realized almost the minute that we released it, literally, I think an hour after we released it, I realized we had architected it wrong. Because, everybody was running this on their phone, but, it started to be more and more data that had to come down to your phone. And if you didn't have the app open for a while, when you reopened it, it would take sometimes 10, 15 minutes to resync with the blockchain. So you couldn't really do anything with the app for 15 minutes while you were waiting for it to resync with the network. And I realized, someone's going to have to build this thing in the cloud, because the phone was just not powerful enough to run a full Bitcoin node. I kind of couldn't help myself. After that, I started tinkering on the cloud version, if you will, even though I wasn't really sure if it was even going to be a company yet. It was interesting. I just kind of couldn't help it. I couldn't stop thinking about it.